This past weekend, the Russo Brothers' new film, The Electric State, came out on Netflix. Now, there has been a lot, and I do mean a lot, of behind-the-scenes drama on this one, because the movie cost $350 million to make. Little bit excessive. I'm not even going to lie. Might be a little bit excessive, and it released on Netflix. It didn't go to theaters. It has a bunch of cast members that a lot of people think are just generic. It just looks like a generic blockbuster. Now, for me, wouldn't say I was excited to watch it, but I was interested because, at the very least, I enjoy generic blockbusters. Because they're generic blockbusters, they're meant to be enjoyable. And so I normally enjoy them. So I was hoping to have a fun enough time with this one without walking away hating the movie. So before I dive into my review of The Electric State, tell me, what are your thoughts on it down below in the comment section? Stay tuned. Daredevil Born Again Episode 4 review. I literally just finished watching it. That'll be out very soon. And with that said, The Electric State is an interesting mix of a really bad Netflix original movie and a really interesting and enjoyable blockbuster. Summer blockbuster. I didn't hate this movie. It's barely good. I liked the movie enough. I'd say it was fine. But my God, it has so many issues. So many issues. It's got all the stuff that I like out of an enjoyable blockbuster, right? We have the cast members, Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, all of them. Most of them are great. You have the action sequences, you have direction by the Russo Brothers, you have the score, you just have the sleek budget, the sleek production, everything that makes it look like a blockbuster, and the movie's supposed to be superficially entertaining. So for me, I was superficially entertained with the movie. Got pretty much what I would want out of a movie that is supposed to be superficially entertaining. And it's just kind of frustrating because you see that there's a movie inside here that is very good, that is fantastic, and then you get a movie that is just bogged down by a horrible script and by terrible things that the film does, and potential to be a great movie, it's not. So, things that I liked about the movie, obviously the cast. Now, Millie Bobby Brown, every movie she's in, I'm just learning and growing not to like her that much, just because I find that she plays the same character. She says some things, like, she doesn't watch movies, she finds movies boring, but she's an actress. Just really controversial things. I just start to find her a little bit annoying in whatever she's in, and she's not great in here, but Chris Pratt, I'm a big Chris Pratt fan. I think he's funny, I think he's charming, and he brings that charming energy here. In fact, I hated the movie until Chris Pratt came on, and Chris Pratt just brought such energy and so charming moments here that I couldn't help but start to really enjoy the movie once he was on here. His chemistry with the little robot was really good. Surprising people here, we got Ke Kwan is in this movie, Giancarlo Esposito's in this movie, just a stacked cast from top to bottom. Stanley Tucci in the movie as well. Stacked cast, and I think most of them are really good in here. They're not trying to be perfect because it's this movie, but they are still pretty good in here. The action sequences, I think, are fine. I mean, it's directed by the Russo Brothers. They know how to direct action. It's got the big, sleek budget. If the action was horrible on a $350 million budget, that would be a problem. But they don't look bad. And speaking of the $350 million budget, I think the film looks good. I think the film looks good. Has sleek production size. The shots are cool. It looks like a typical blockbuster. It doesn't have any shots that make me go, whoa, that's breathtaking. But it has the shots that we need in a blockbuster like this. And for a $350 million film, obviously it has to look good, and the movie did. If the movie did not look good, if the robots did not look halfway realistic, if they looked horrible, I would be mad. I would be absolutely furious. But it's not. And this movie reminds me of Red 1 from last year. That was a blockbuster, typical, entertaining, stars Chris Pratt in it. Or not Chris Pratt, but Chris Evans in that. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Cast members that you like in that movie. And this movie reminds me a lot of that, where it has an absolutely enlarged budget. And while I can see this movie has the robots and all the shots, and the movie looks good for a $350 million film, did it need to be $350 million, though? I mean, when you think about it, obviously you got Giancarlo Esposito, Chris Pratt, Stanley Tucci. I mean, obviously those people are not cheap, but still, it seems to be a little tiny, not even a tiny bit, a way too inflated of a budget. That's really weird. And, I look at Red 1, I can't see where the budget went. I genuinely can't. Like, you got the actors, but, like, the CGI, there's sequences that look horrible. Nothing in this movie looked like it took me out of the film like that movie did. But, still, $350 freaking million is insane. So, I had a fun enough time with the film. It's typical action blockbuster stuff. The ending had a little bit of emotional moments in it. It has all of that. The film's not great by any means. It's barely good, but at least it manages to be a genuinely entertaining enough blockbuster film. Some of the issues I have with it, and there are quite a bit here. Number one, Millie Bobby Brown. I don't think she's good, like I said that earlier. But not only that, but I find her character to be extremely unlikable. So, here's what we get with Millie Bobby Brown, okay? So, first off, we get that opening sequence with her brother. And I'm sorry. Let's just throw it out here. I couldn't tell in that first sequence if they were siblings or dating. My brother thought she was his mom. And so they have this sexual tension to it. They genuinely feel like a couple. They're siblings. Like, I thought they were a couple, and then all of a sudden it's revealed like half an hour later that they're siblings. And then we get sequences where like they're cuddling on the couch. They're holding each other's hand. What? Are you... What? I'm sorry. Like, it can't just be me. The sibling relationship was weird. Very, 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 very weird. Anyways, her character's just not likable at all. Because, like, she's in a foster home. Obviously, the stepdad, or the foster dad's kind of a piece of garbage. And you get her backstory. But then she goes on this quest and, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. There's going to be brief spoilers here. Who cares? I'll put it in the title, so if you click on this, you already know. But, so, you get her going with Chris Pratt and bringing this guy along, the bad guy, and he absolutely destroys everything Chris Pratt works for. Okay. Later on, she goes to the robots for help. The robots think they're bad, but they think, oh, you're a good person. Destroy the entire thing the robots have built. But here's the thing. Mr. Peanut looks at her. The only reason that any of this happened, the only reason that any of this is destroyed, looks at her and says, yeah, you're a good person. Looks at Chris Pratt's character, who literally has lived and helped a robot, and says, oh yeah, you're not a good person. What? I'm sorry, I'm going off on a little bit of a rant here. Millie Bobby Brown's character is not likable. Chris Pratt's character is likable. But Millie Bobby Brown's character is like perceived as just such a saint, such a good person, when she doesn't do anything likable. It's like she gets Chris Pratt's whole life destroyed and says, oh, now you're gonna go help me save my brother. Why? It does not make any sense at all. It is beyond stupid. And that's where the problem comes in with the script. From the very beginning of the film, like I said, they wrote these siblings to feel like dating. It feels like that's kind of changed along in the script. Several things happened throughout the movie that just... I paused it 20 minutes in and said to my brother, I have a lot of thoughts. And one of them was... My favorite one was when the robot attacks the house... And she doesn't pull up the taser on the robot, but she pulls it out on the stepdad. The robot, who she thinks is going to kill her, she doesn't pull up the taser, but she pulls it out on the stepdad. Everything that happens in this movie comes at a convenience to the characters. Because, oh, you need this to happen? Yeah, here you go. Does that make sense? No. But it's here because we are the writers and we have infinite power. So, there you go. Really works there. And then, like, the whole script, the whole story, it's not very smart. It is a convoluted script. Characters make decisions that don't make sense. And as we go further into the film, the more enjoyable it gets. It does do the blockbuster stuff. You get the action with this. You get the loss, the deaths in here that I thought was really good. And it manages to make it entertaining as a typical blockbuster. And I think if you're a normal audience member, you're not going to be complaining like I am, because it works to be a normal blockbuster. You click on this movie just for a family movie on Netflix, you're going to have a fun enough time with it. Heck, I had a fun enough time watching it. But thinking about it and pulling out the movie critic that I am on this channel, it is beyond frustrating and beyond stupid what this movie is. and the script is the big problem here. And I could not believe that half the stuff happened in this movie did happen. So while it's typical, while it's entertaining enough, it's by standard, it's not a good movie. It's barely good just because it's watchable, entertaining stuff. But as a movie that cost $350 million and directed by the Russo Brothers, it's not very good. I don't know if I'd like this one or Gray Man better. I think the more I think about this one, the more I dislike it, even though I had more fun watching this one than I did Gray Man, if that makes sense. I don't know. Post-Endgame, Russo Brothers haven't been too great. Before I give you my final score, though, go down below and tell me what are your opinions on the Electric State. And while you're down there, subscribe, like button, and hit the bell to never miss another video. Daredevil, Born Again, Episode 4, spoilers free, and spoiler review coming very soon. And with that said, the Electric State is entertaining enough. It's entertaining blockbuster. It's everything that you want out of an entertaining blockbuster. But the script really, 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 really sucks. It's not a good script, and it turns a movie that has a compelling premise enough to a movie that is a bad Netflix original movie and a decent enough blockbuster that's fun enough, I guess. I'm going to give The Electric State a B-. Now, I know I complained a lot about the movie, but still, it's a blockbuster. I like blockbuster, so I enjoyed the movie enough, and I'm not going to give it a C+, because that's normally where I start going into negative. Well, I don't think it's necessarily a great movie, or a good movie, really. I had enough fun with it, and as a movie, I have to give it a B. But critically, I'd have to give it a C, a C-. But I'll go B- here for the Electric State. Go down below, tell me what are your opinions on the Electric State, and while you're down there, subscribe.